We all have a story, the places we've been to, the people we've loved, the experiences that shaped us. And so much of it can disappear if we don't take the time to preserve it. For older adults especially, those stories can be more than memories. They give families a deeper understanding of where they came from, who their loved ones really were, and what mattered most to them throughout their lives. I'm Gulraj, and today we're talking about the importance of preserving those very stories, the conversations we sometimes wish we had sooner, and the legacy we leave behind. Joining me is Andrew Couch, whose work with Sound Legacy is centered around helping people capture and preserve the stories and voices of the people they love. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Man, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for bringing me to your incredible office, and thank you for the delicious lunch, not the least of which was your famous soup.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
We claim it's the world's best minestrone soup, but one is able to claim in these times they can claim anything.
And if you're going to claim something unprovable, make it the best. Why not,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Andrew, let's jump right into it. You say everyone is carrying a story that's worth preserving. When did you first realize this?
Well, I heard a great quote once that everyone has a book in them, but unfortunately, in most people, that's where it belongs. With stories, it's different.
Yes.
You can. I truly believe everybody has a story. I mean, you grew up where you grew up. Your parents were uniquely your parents.
Yes.
Everybody kind of experienced things, joy, success, tragedy. I saw a lot of things as a kid that woke me up to that. And I was maybe about 11 or 12, and I had this friend. His name was George.
Yes.
George was 72 years old.
Now, you lived in a lot of places. Was that here or?
No, this was in Mississippi.
Okay.
I grew up Catholic, and I went to this little Catholic church and kind of in the country. And there was this man, George. He was 72.
Yes.
He was the most interesting person I knew. As a kid, your friends are goofy, whatever. Stories aren't that interesting because no one's done anything yet. Yeah, George would tell me about having fought in the Korean War. He would talk to me about women that he loved. He'd talk to me about all this stuff that he'd done in his life. And I was fascinated. I could not get enough of just the story, the things that he'd done.
How old was he again?
He was 72,
right.
And I was 12.
So there was a lot of credibility that these stories were probable.
They were probably mostly true.
Yes,
I mean,
mostly true.
He'd fought. I think he'd been an artist for Disney at one point in his life. He was just a really fascinating guy, and he was a good storyteller.
Yes.
But most of my friends were like, he's annoying. He smells funny. Yeah. The people my age were not interested in talking to George. And I couldn't get enough of talking to George. And I realized, boy, all older people have some version of this within them because they've just done more stuff. It made me see my parents a little differently. Certainly made me see my grandparents more differently. And it just kind of woke me up to the idea that time gives you something.
Yes.
And that's worth sharing.
What drew you away from simply telling stories yourself into helping other people preserve theirs?
Well, I still do. I still do tell stories about myself. And, everything is a story.
Yeah.
If you think about it. The fact that we have money to the exchange for goods and services, that's a story. The ideas that power our democracy or that power any given thing, it's all story. So I tell a lot of my own stories. And the story that I'm most interested in telling now is how my life is enriched by the people I get to meet in my profession. So I don't know that I've stopped telling my stories as much, but I did get very, very interested in hearing other people's stories. I was doing a podcast, traveling around North America. My wife and I started here. We drove all the way to Alaska, and we were on our way to Argentina when COVID hit. We couldn't go any further south. Oh, wow. And I didn't want to just be kind of good at vacationing. I needed some sort of purpose.
Yes.
So like most middle-aged men, I started a podcast, and I found it endlessly fascinating to you're kind of off the hook. You just want to know about the other person. You get these stories, and it was everything from like a 95-year-old man telling me about the worst day of his life to New York Times bestselling authors to teachers. I mean, it's just the whole, my premise was I just wanted to meet people who had done fun and interesting things.
Yes.
Well, COVID hits. That all stops. We're not traveling. And my mom called me and said, hey, there's somebody whose life story I would really like for you to capture. And it was my uncle. he was actually dying of pancreatic cancer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I had not seen my uncle in a really long time.
Yes.
I flew to Colorado to be with him, and I spent 3 days just hearing about his life. We were in his basement around all the things that he'd collected in his travels, and
Yes.
it was so inspiring to me. Every night when I would go to bed, I was thinking about what I was going to make and what this thing would be. And I told him on the last day of recording, I was like, yeah, I want to make this thing with this
Yes.
music. And he's like, just, Andrew, promise me I don't ever have to hear it. Okay, no problem. I kept my promise.
Yes.
And he did pass about 3-4 months later.
Yeah.
And I got to editing, and because I didn't want to edit it beforehand and be tempted to let everyone else hear it. And what I made, even though I've gotten a lot more practice at
Yes.
doing it since then, is something I'm still very proud of, because it just woke me up to the potential of what this is. I saw the reaction of my family, my mom
Yes.
and my aunt and everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what I want to give to people. I want to do that for a living. And that's been it. That's what started the whole journey as far as this being a business is concerned.
Oh, that's tremendous.
Yeah.
Andrew, tell me, what is one thing that you hear most often from people that they regret not having asked their parents when they could have asked them?
You know, it's less, it's not one specific thing that I hear, like, oh, I wish I would ask my dad about this, or what was the recipe? What was in that soup? Did she or did she not use bay leaves?
Bay leaves.
So it's less about a specific thing that I hear, but the thing I hear most often is, I wish I would have done this with fill in the blank.
Yes.
My grandmother who had lived through
Yes.
World War II in London, my mom who had done this, or my dad. I wish I could hear my dad's voice. I wish I could hear my mom's voice. It's that. The thing, it's less about a specific type of wisdom, because everybody's different, and everybody had different relationships with their family. But so the regret that I see most frequently is just not having done something and losing that story, that voice, that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew, what have hundreds of conversations taught you about what really matters at the end of life?
The end of their lives. You know, I think, and you never know when someone's telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
Right? Truth is subjective.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's subjective, and the idea that, what you remember. They say the eyewitness is one of the least reliable witnesses there is.
Yeah.
But when someone reflects on their life, we should all be so fortunate in that way to know that our time, to live as if we embody that our time is limited.
Yeah.
And so the things that I think are important are the fact that these people are sharing, they're closer to knowing the answer to the mystery than the rest of us. So anybody that close to the mystery, it'd be like if you could get a baby to talk to you. That has just come from that side of the mystery.
Yeah.
If you could somehow extract wisdom from a baby, what do they know? What do they know? So it's that, to me, that's the most important, that they're just able to share. So that, to me, is really profound to see that shared.
Are there stories that people assume that aren't interesting, but they end up being the family's favorites?
I remember one guy, he wanted to tell me about the worst day of his life, right?
Yes.
I know I mentioned him earlier, but he told me a story that was rough. He had a rough day, right? Yeah. He was 90-something years old.
Yeah.
The story that I just asked him more stuff. And then, just as like an aside, told me about a different day where he was dangling from the side of a cliff for hours and was rescued, and it was on television, and everybody knew him for being the guy who hung from a cliff by the edge of his life. And that was not the worst day of his life. He just had this different perspective on it.
Yes.
Whereas the other thing was this sort of internal turmoil where he, was judging himself for having made dumb mistakes.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing, someone will think one story is very interesting, but some other detail is way more interesting.
Yeah. Andrew, with all the people that you interview, you must think that there are a good subset of them that have lived life really well. What are some common themes that you see amongst those folks?
Man, there's so many, but I would say one thing I've noticed, I was always kind of on a search for what makes a good life, right? I mean,
what makes a good life?
What would be good? Having a sense of purpose, right? That all the happiest people that I've met, that people with a good, strong presence of well-being.
Yeah.
They're not they're just like always happy, but they have like a sense of well-being. They have a sense of purpose.
Yes.
They've got kind of a community of people that they can turn to for various things, whether it's like advice, even people that they can argue with and disagree with.
Yes.
Having some sort of community, people who are active and like move and try to do things. And the ones who, when they were young and healthy enough to do so, rolled the dice and really tried. You and I were talking earlier off camera about regret.
Yeah.
And regret is such a interesting motivator, depending on which side of that thing you land on.
Yeah.
Do you have regret, or did you see someone else navigate their own regrets? And the people who I feel like have lived really well have faced that. They've looked at regret, the things that they wish they'd done differently, and then were able to make further choices with that in mind. And this business that we're sitting in right now is you responding to regret, which I think is very profound. Hopefully you've told that story on this podcast.
I have not, but just for our listeners, the regret I had of not being able to serve my parents well enough was what prompted me to say, no, I no more of feeling bad about it. I'm going to do something. And I know, thank you for bringing that up. But the word regret does still loom heavy on me. And we share that in common. Yeah. That the idea of like mitigating regret for others it's a powerful motivator, and I think a good thing to do with your time. At least I certainly hope so. Yeah. When it comes to family relationships, the conversations that you have with your clients, the seniors, do those conversations ever actually end up leading to change in family relationships? I'd like to think so. I mean, people, the thing that we make for people, and we make a variety of things, little vignettes, like a small, 15-minute film about a specific thing in someone's life, little story arc. Absolutely. We make these long, hour-long full documentaries, or little audio things. They're just an hour-long. We do a variety of things. And in all of those, there's a lot of pre-production that goes into it, right? And so you think of it in terms of this finished product, right? Okay, we're going to make this thing, and this is the thing that you get. And you get that thing. Yeah. But what happens in the intervening time, as someone is researching this, and as just imagine like your son comes to you in 20 years and says, "Hey, Dad, I love you so much, and I find you so interesting that I want to immortalize you and your story with this thing." Yes. So I need to know this, and I need to know that, and this, and this. The memory that you build before you ever actually make the thing that we're going to give you is its own gift. Just to say that I care about you this much, that I've paid this person to come in and make this product for you. Yeah. But to make that product good, we need to know the facts. And they dig in, and that's a memory building thing in itself. It's sort of like remembering a dream. You come away with it from it with an experience that is in your memory. And people come away from doing this project with a whole new experience around their loved one. It's not always just a parent; it could be a grandparent. I've done some projects for people who were younger. The parents actually did it because the younger person was ill. Yeah. Yeah. So it's its own core memory. So I'd like to think that has an impact on a family dynamic. Yeah. Oh, without naming names, tell us about one interview or one client that actually impacted you in a way that changed your life. Oh, I had the privilege of meeting this woman and her family. It was originally going to be a film about her family and where she came from, and it was going to be sort of a family story arc. Yes. Right. And when I sat down with a pre-production interview to figure out what the story arc would be, she's like, "Forget that. I'm an artist. I want this to be about my art." Okay. Okay. If everybody's on board with this, okay, that's what we're doing. Yeah. And the subject of the film was sort of mid-stage Parkinson's. I see. But was still an artist. She did all kinds of amazing textile work and paint, and was just creative endlessly. And it was difficult for her to get all the things
there for her to, her materials to
Yes.
paint and work.
Yeah.
That was challenging physically because she would, Parkinson's, you just don't always have all the control.
Yeah, you don't.
As soon as she would sit down to paint, it
Yes.
all calmed down. The nervous system allowed her just this little reprieve to paint. And that to me was it was powerful to watch. Just to see that thing release for a moment and see this person just do the thing that they very much loved. That changed me in the sense that, I don't know, that you kind of forget that there's a lot of mystery and a lot of things we don't understand, and it's a good reminder to have such a visceral, in-your-face, real-world reminder that the human body is a weird thing, the human mind is a weird thing. If the fates are cruel, but they have a sense of humor. It was impactful to me to see that, and I don't know, sort of embrace the idea that we're all just sort of lucky to be here.
Yeah, no, my next question was going to be that, has anything ever surprised you, or has anyone ever surprised you? But I think that in itself.
That was a surprise. But no, I've had many surprises.
Tell us about another one. Tell me one more.
Most of these are short.
Yeah.
We interact, over a period of weeks, and then we have one day of recording.
Yes.
But some of them, I'm doing a project now that's sort of a longer term project where it's once a week I meet with this person, and it's taken weeks for this person to finally open up and feel comfortable enough to swear in front of me.
Okay.
I felt so honored that the person finally let loose a swear word around me. I was like, all right, now we're together. Now here we are.
I hope the profanity doesn't get preserved.
100%. It was because it was so, you knew they were in there. He'd been editing. He'd been editing himself, and finally let one slip. Like, all right. But people will surprise you about such things.
If somebody listening wants to start preserving memories of their loved ones, maybe even starting this weekend, where should they begin?
I tell everyone, if you're even thinking about it, it's almost already too late.
Okay.
Just do it.
Okay.
You have in your pocket something that's okay at making phone calls, but it's great at taking photos and videos. You could just, even if someone's like, look, I don't want to be on camera, I haven't put on any makeup, I don't want to, fine. You can just lay the phone down.
Yes.
Just lay it down, and there is a voice memo app. There's some sort of way for you to record in every phone. Yeah. At least a voice. I would say, for the future, get the mic kind of closer to the person.
Yes.
Make sure they're not. There's a thing called a plosive. You don't want the plosive, but it doesn't matter. You just want to be able to hear that story.
Yes.
Because AI will be able to fix all these audio issues eventually anyway. But what AI can't do is be that person telling you that story. So be curious. Know the difference between an open-ended question and a closed-ended question. What did you do? Tell me about this. Why was that impactful? And just record everything. You do not have to think. The great thing about this is you don't have to be thinking about what you're going to say next. Shouldn't really do that anyway if you're listening well, but you're especially called not to do that when you're wanting to hear someone else's story. It's another thing to sort of exchange stories. That's great. And that can be its own little memory, a thing you might be glad to have. Having your mother or your grandmother, your father, somebody reacting to your story can be interesting. Yeah. But the thing that you really want is their voice and their story delivered in their unique way. Yeah. So just start. Like if you're even thinking about it, start. And if you don't want to do that yourself, of course, there's professional services from mine all the way down to like really easy things you can do online that are very affordable. To me, it's more important that people do it than it is that they call me. I certainly hope they call me, but it's more important to me that they do it because that regret. You don't want to regret not having done it.
Of course, and nowadays, there's of course the professional way to go, but I think we are truly in the golden age of being able to do these things ourselves, and everybody has a recording device in their pocket that 20 years ago was inconceivable. And the quality has come up tremendously.
It's amazing.
After collecting years of stories from folks that you meet, how has this changed the way you live your life?
So my life has been changed by this work in a number of ways. For one, it's
Yes.
just opened up a lot of opportunities. Because of this work, I get to meet so many fascinating people. I mean, I'm sure you've gotten to know this from having a podcast. It is a context engine to meet people you might otherwise not.
You're absolutely right. We would not have had a delightful lunch and conversation
Right.
had it not been
For having this.
For having
right.
this.
So I have just the similar thing, it puts me in rooms that I would not otherwise be. And it's a scenario where I get to ask questions of people. Like I get to just be as curious as I want with people. And it's made me more curious about others. And I kind of already was, but it's informed the sort of things that you can get to know about a person through just listening. And I would, in my best, if I'm being as generous to myself as possible, I feel like it's made me a better listener. Certainly hope so.
Yeah.
Not just in a professional setting, but just personally. I feel like I've started to parse the content of a story versus the context of a story. What did you do for a living?
Yes.
That's the content. The context is this thing we're talking about right now. How did it make you feel? Has it changed you? What's an impactful thing from it? What would you do differently? That type of stuff. It's been interesting. This job has helped me, have deeper relationships. And I think one of the things, honestly, that helped me do that, Courage, was
Yes.
I did a lot of kind of strange traveling as a young man. I did
Around the United States, you mean?
around the United States and around the world. I would do these, either backpacking trips
Yes.
or like long distance cycling. And there's something about you get in these very little niche communities of people who are doing the similar thing, and you suddenly bypass what would otherwise be like, weeks and months of friendship, and suddenly you're in a context with people where you're just in it, and there's nothing else, and you become very close with people.
Yes.
And this allows me to do that. This job, I get to bypass all that other stuff, and suddenly you're right in it with somebody, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. It's probably my favorite thing about this.
You're absolutely right. I realize after listening to you say that you immediately have the opportunity to go behind the curtains and meet people for who they really are,
Yeah.
rather than getting to know little things about them that that are interesting, but they're not as profound as some of the deepest things that they have gone through.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for what you guys do. I work with people who have sometimes in-home care.
Yes.
And I get to see the interactions that the caregiver have with, their patients, their clients,
Yeah.
or I don't know what you guys
We
call
call them clients.
Clients.
We call
The
them
clients. I mean, it's very, as warm as it can be, it's also you're doing a very specific job.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, suddenly become friends with this person because they're seeing you in very vulnerable and very intimate states. And I'm very aware of how privileged I am to get to go in and just have fun with these people.
Yeah.
Even if it's like painful thing to talk about, or they experience
Yes.
emotion delivering their story, it's still not as vulnerable as like, hey, it's time to take a bath.
Yeah.
We have a bathroom situation to deal with. So I'm aware of like how the luxury of that sort of arrangement in my life. So I don't know. I know that what you guys do, you get an opportunity to suddenly be very close to people, and I'm just grateful for the way that I get to do it, because it's I think I'm much better suited to that than doing physical care for people. That would be my wife. She's a nurse.
Yes.
Yeah,
She's saying that.
Yeah.
It's but what you do is not only fascinating, but it's something that helps us remember folks in a way that we want to remember seeing them, because growing old is hard, and sometimes the memories folks leave behind, their last memories are not how they govern the rest of their lives.
Right.
But nobody talked about that. Nobody preserved that.
Right.
And you help do that. And so I think that's tremendous. Now, you have met so many people that have had tremendous lives and left long legacies. What legacy do you hope to leave?
Oh man, well, just this. I wrote a book.
Tell us about it.
Well, it's called The Moron at the end of this book.
Okay.
It's there's a joke on the front cover. It's short stories from a life, lived.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly a life well lived. That I like to write. I like to tell stories. But I think if there's any legacy that I'm interested in, it's that I'm more interested in amplifying other people's stories. I know that sounds like I'm being unnecessarily modest or something, but it really is. To me, it's just more interesting. Like, I want to have an interesting life. I want to keep taking adventures and growing as a person.
Yes.
But I think the thing that I'm capable of doing for the world is not my story. It's the fact that I'm like a chronicler, someone who's there to listen and there to share. I think that's the legacy that I'd like to leave behind. And what I want to do with this project, I certainly want to help people pass along the legacy. It's very important, that you have an opportunity to hear these stories from people. But I'd really like for people to be able to see, that's me. That older person there, if all goes well, that's me. And that older person was once a little baby, and they've been every size up to that point.
Yes.
And maybe even a little taller.
Come back a little bit.
Yeah, just to feel the empathy in that. Just what was it like? What's it like to be 75? What's it like to be 100? So it's a weird way of trying to help people empathize with one another. It's a lofty goal, I guess, but it's fun when you can see it work.
Yeah.
When you can have someone else see themselves in someone else. And it's weirdly difficult with people's parents. There's a lot of things get built up between families. Siblings.
Yeah.
Parents. There's a lot going on, and so if you can help them see themselves in one another, you can maybe chip away at some of those weird barriers that we put up.
Yes. I can imagine you would probably, without even knowing, leave change that is profound and transformative.
Yeah, I hope so. Even if it's just a little.
Yeah.
If it's one less argument, it's fine. I've done my job.
Yeah. Wonderful. It's time for the homecoming questionnaire. Since I'm at Right at Home, I could not resist the play on words. At Right at Home, we help people feel comfortable in their own homes. Now here, we want our guests to feel as comfortable as they can be being themselves. So I'm going to ask 10 quick questions. No overthinking, just the first answer that comes to mind. Andrew, shall we start?
I'm ready.
Ready? Okay, good. What's your comfort food?
Fried catfish.
Oh, okay. Spoken like a Southerner.
Yeah, because I've had fish from all over the world. Nothing beats fried catfish.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
I'm an early bird.
Biggest pet peeve?
Ooh, the shopping cart. Put it back in the... Don't leave it next to your car. Put the shopping cart away.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
You wake up with a superpower. What would it be?
Ooh, perfect empathy. I would want to be able to always know what is the most compassionate and kindest thing to do at all times.
What's the best smell in the world?
Ooh, if it's not catfish, it's lavender.
Okay. Yeah. What's an irrational fear you have?
Ooh, oddly, bathrooms that smell like food.
Okay.
Yeah, it always makes me nervous.
What's your guiltiest pleasure?
Ooh, cigars and whiskey.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
What's your hidden talent? Cigars and whiskey?
Yeah. I don't know that I have specific talents, much less a hidden one. I do play guitar.
Oh, wonderful. And lastly, what do you refuse to spend money on?
Ooh, God, almost nothing. Almost nothing. I'm trying to think. I actually might refuse to put money in the shopping cart. I would just carry all my bags like a weirdo.
You get the money back,
I know, but just putting the dollar in it, I would be the one guy. I'd be like, forget it, I'll just carry everything.
Well, thank you for being
thanks,
a
man.
tremendous guest.
It was fun.
It was a blast having you, but your profound stories, because I think well beyond the power of language is the power of stories.
Yeah.
So I think that's that's something that you capture, and that is tremendous. So thank you for what you do.
Thanks for having me, man, and thanks for the soup.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.